Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for what should be our weekend preview, but this is kind of a feature festival video where we're going to be previewing the Newmarket July Festival coming to you Thursday, Friday and Saturday. We're going to be looking at all 3 days of the festival and some of the key races from each day. Obviously the highlight of the July Festival is on Saturday, which is the July Cup Stakes. Jack, as this goes out, I know we've got the July Festival. We should be really looking forward to that. But we've only got around 3 weeks until Goodwood. And on Sunday, we have a nice feature video. Let our viewers know what to expect on Sunday evening.
On Sunday, we have a glorious Goodwood feature video, an anti-post video coming to you. There'll be a pick from both of us for the feature race of the day. So we got the Stewards Cup, we got the Goodwood Cup on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, we got the Sussex Stakes. Thursday is Nassau Stakes. And Friday is the King George. So yes, we got 5 feature races, plus a couple of handicap selections in there. Sam's told us he has found a good thing for the Golden Mile off camera. So goodness me, fasten your seatbelts for that, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Not a race I should be really putting up a good thing for, to be totally honest. And last weekend, I actually had a better weekend than you last week. Now, this is rare for me to have to carry you on
take it,
but,
it's fine.
I had free wind at 11-4. I had Verdania at 11-4. To be fair, you did put up Alpinista without the favourite, which wasn't a bad bet. I mean, you should just put Alpinista up to win. You would have got a nice price there. But Alpinista looks like a really exciting filly, and I think the Arc is actually a real contender at around 14-1 for the Arc, I believe so. So, yeah, but not a bad weekend last weekend. Very exciting to see Verdania win the Eclipse and hopefully go on to win the Irish Champion Stakes. And then Jack and I may see Verdania on Kipco British Champions Day. That'll be a bit of a dream. I love a French horse winning the Champion Stakes. We all know lovely. That.
Sail away.
Oh, yeah. Never ever forget that. Never ever. Right, let's kick things off with our preview then. Start off with the Bahrain Trophy, which is a Group 3 over a mile and 5 furlongs. This comes to you on the Thursday. And Masakela is your 7-4 favourite. Walk of Stars 5-2. Zechariah 4-1. Al Kareem's 8-1. Deauville Legend 8. And Green Team is 20-1. Now, Masakela's a horse who's come up a lot on this channel. So we had Oshin on last year, giving this horse a massive mention as a horse going into Royal Ascot that could have been a really decent horse. Unfortunately, the weather and the ground didn't come his way at Royal Ascot that year. However, this horse has turned out to be very, very smart, I believe. I mean, since Stepped Up and Trip, the Dante, then the Derby performance, is he the rightful favourite in here?
Yes, he is, but I think he's definitely going to get beaten.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a big shout for the first race of the day. At first, looking at the Bahrain Trophy, it's not really a race that I like looking at too much. But then, the more and more I looked at it, I think Al Kareem, of course, is going to go from the front and set a good pace, as he did in the Queen's Vase, and also his penultimate run. And I think it's just going to turn it into a test. And I really don't think that's going to suit Masakela over a mile and 5. If you look at the Derby, yes, he finished off very well. He finished at 110% finishing speed. It wasn't a truly ran mile and a half. Yes, Epsom has its own challenges, but I do think I have massive doubts for Masakela stepping up to this mile and 5. Zechariah, I think you have to respect, but I think in the Queen's Vase, he almost had first run there. I know Al Kareem was out front, but I think he did have first run, and Eldarov, and I think it was Haffett had to come chase him down and did so in good style. But I actually am a huge fan of Walk of Stars here. Now he's being gelded. Now, I wasn't before the race, but I mean, I think he still looked inexperienced at Lingfield and at Epsom, of course. Finished last of the 17 at Epsom, but I think he's a half brother to a French winner over a mile and 5. I think this trip's going to suit perfectly. It's going to turn into a nice test, and I think 5-2, he may even drift slightly, but of course, Dubai did this last year with Yabir, and hopefully he'll be able to do it with Walk of Stars. So Walk of Stars for me.
Okay, yeah, we'll be discussing Yabir, as you mentioned there. We'll be discussing him later on in this preview. Look, I like Masakela. It's not actually going to be a strong fancy for me, but Jackson there, it's a game of opinions, isn't it? Saying that this horse stepping up again in trip, you're not a massive fan of that happening, but I've got a feeling this horse could turn out to be a real ledger contender and potentially one for big staying races going on to next season, maybe even going into cup races next season. I believe Connections have actually got Coltrane as well, haven't they? I think they're in the same colours, so he's come out of nowhere in terms of the cup division. But yeah, I do like Masakela. I think 7-4, maybe what you're saying there probably is a bit too short. Walk of Stars is probably the right price in there potentially at 5-2. Said the horse may drift, but yeah, not a race I'm going to be going mad on. But Jack thinks that Masakela is definitely going to get beaten by Walk of Stars at 5-2. The next race we're going to move on to is the Group 2 July Stakes at 225 over 6 furlongs for the 2-year-olds. And Little Big Bear is your 7-4 favourite. Persian Force 15-8. Mysterious Night 6-1. Brave Nation 9-1 and 14-1. bar these. And these two favourites, Persian Force and Little Big Bear, with different bookmakers, they're flip-flops. Not all bookmakers have the same favourite in this race. These are just your best prices currently. Now, Little Big Bear looks like Aidan's probably best colt at this moment in time. Like, looking at the performances and what I've seen, who are you going to say?
I just think it's a huge statement.
No, I do, and I'm not. I mean, we're going to discuss others that the likes of Alfred Munnings later on in the preview, and August Rodin and horses like that. But I do think Little Big Bear is very, very impressive, and the form has worked out very well from that race at Royal Ascot. I thought the Windsor Castle was a very good race. I mean, Rocket Rodney, we actually discussed off air, absolutely flew home in that race there, and since won in very impressive style at Sandown. I know this isn't the Goodwood Antipodes preview, but I got a feeling the Malcolm could be on the mind for that horse there. I know Clearpoint's another that I've had in my head for that race, but I'm not sure. But yeah, Malcolm winner potentially, Rocket Rodney. But I think the form was really good. I think Little Big Bear stands out. I know we both fancied Persian Force for the Coventry at Royal Ascot. Didn't quite happen for either of us, but I am just going to be siding with Little Big Bear, but another race where I am probably going to have more of a watching brief rather than a kind of a bet on this race. I'm not sure it's a betting race, but it's going to be a very interesting watch. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm quite hurt that Clearpoint's not going here, if I'm being honest. I thought he was 6-1 a couple of days ago. He got backed into about 7-2. Oshinor was jocked up as well, goodness me, he wasn't declared. It's like the Norfolk all over again. I mean, he hasn't been asked a question. I think Oshinor, he just travels delightfully. He's so quick as well. I think he's very versatile, whether they want to run him over 5 or 6 furlongs. I think if they do send him to the Malcolm, I think it's literally a penalty kick for him. It just depends where they're going to send him, because I think Clearpoint oozes class, of course, for the same connections as the Commonwealth Cup winner of
Perfect Power,
of course, Perfect Power. Yeah, thank you for saving me there. But look, I think Persian Force is the one to beat for me. Drawn away from the pace in the Coventry. Bradsell came out of 2. Royal Scotsman, who was 3rd, came out of 1. He had a double figure a draw. I don't know if the gap quite opened when he wanted it, when Ross Ryan wanted it to. I think Ross Ryan would have wanted the ride again if he had the chance, but he was staying on at the line behind Bradsell, and Bradsell clocked a really impressive final 2 furlongs for a juvenile. So hopefully he'll be able to make amends in this contest. Yes, you do have to respect Little Big Bear. Rocket Rodney has franked that form, but look, hopefully Persian Force will be able to go one better than he did in the Coventry.
Okay, yeah, Persian Force. Taking each other on with the two favourites there, but it's not a strong race that I'm going to be betting on, to be totally honest, but I'm very interested to watch this race, and potentially we could see a very exciting 2-year-old come out of it. The final race we'll preview on the Thursday. This is the 3:35, the Group 2 1.5 Princess of Wales' Stakes. Mustard is your 11-8 favourite. Your Beer 6-4, then a big jump to Living Legend 12-1, New Mandate 16-1, West End Charmer is 16-1, and Global Storm is 20-1. Let's not start with the favourite. Let's start with Your Beer, because Your Beer is a horse that I was actually a big fan of last year. I know you were a massive fan of Your Beer, and it's fair to say things haven't quite gone his way this season. Do you expect him to get himself back on track now?
It's really hard to know, because I thought Hurricane Lane was going to get himself back on track last weekend, and of course he didn't. So Your Beer is one of those that he's very hard to be on the right side of. But I think one thing is very clear: if the Your Beer of the Shima Classic, Breeders' Cup Turf, or Jockey Club Derby at Belmont turn up, he's going to win this. I think that's pretty certain. It's just a question of, is he going to turn up like he did? Of course, Living Legend got the better of him in the Jockey Club at Newmarket 2 runs ago. And of course, you got Mustard, who was staying on second behind Broome in the Hardwick. So look, it's probably a toss-up between the two, as the bookmakers say. Would I be happy to back either of them? No, I wouldn't. I mean, Mustard, if you look at the Brigadier Gerard form, Bay Bridge, bless him, he hasn't been able to frank that form whatsoever. So, I mean, it's a very interesting race, but it will be just a watching brief for me, and I'm hoping Your Beer can bounce back.
Okay, I actually really like one in this.
It's not Living Legend again, is it?
Yeah, and I've put my faith once again in Living Legend, who was very slowly away at Ascot and also very slowly away at Epsom. What we've got to remember is this horse has already beaten Your Beer this season and actually got a much better start, probably a perfect start for Living Legend. He's a horse that obviously needs to be up near the pace or leading in his races. And Mark Johnson's horses are slowly coming into form, and I wonder if there's a big festival around the corner that he's just getting his horses ready for.
This is the one.
It might be for Goodwood, yeah.
July Festival is the one.
I just think this potentially is an each way bet, 12-1. There are a few question marks with regards to probably the favourite and second favourite in here. I just think that the favourite's an interesting one, Mostadaf, because this horse finished obviously behind Baybridge in the Brigadier Gerard, and you mentioned Baybridge there. How good really is Baybridge? And it hasn't quite worked out how you thought it would. I think Baybridge is a very good horse, but I'm not sure, like Mostaf's form behind Baybridge and then behind Broome and beating a very lacklustre Hurricane Lane in the Harbour. I don't know. I'd probably be willing to take both on with those question marks. And I just think if Living Legend can get the start that we know he can in some race, I know it hasn't gone to plan the last twice, but just got a feeling 12-1 might not be the worst each way bet in the world. Mark Johnson also has a good record at this festival, so yeah, I'm gonna put him up once more. This will be the last chance, but Living Legend for me. I know he's a 6-year-old, but he will be the bet for me in that race there. Let's move on to Friday then, and Friday's racing is going to kick off with the Duchess of Cambridge Stakes for us. This is the Group 2 for the 2-year-old fillies, and this is over 6 furlongs. And Lazoo is 4-1, Morge 5-1, along with Mayland C 5-1, Palm Lily 8-1. Is it Maurecia 9-1? Maria Bramwell is 9-1 and 12-1, and Bigger the rest. There's always one name that tries to throw me off. I think I've got that right, Maurecia. But yeah, 9-1 in there. I actually really like one. I said it off air. I really like one in here.
I think the quote was a good thing.
I think this is a good thing. I mean, you said that I've got a good thing for the Golden Mile. I think this is a lot easier to potentially try and find a good thing for. But I like Mayland C here. I really do. Michael Bell's horse finished a clear second behind Dramatising the Queen Mary. Arguably the most impressive 2-year-old performance we saw at Royal Ascot. The winner of that race got an RPR of 111, so it was pretty hot. I think Mayland C got an RPR of 105. She finished a very clear second in front of Maria Bramwell, and Maria Bramwell, prior to Ascot, won the national stakes in really good style. I fancied Maria Bramwell going into this race and ran a decent each way race into third that day. I just think it's very strong. You actually had the American horse as well, Love Reigns, the speedster, come over. That horse was fourth in that race. I think she's a very strong bet in here for me, Mayland C. Morge, I know this horse was very fancied behind Meditate when finishing there, and I don't know, Morge did finish very well, and Lazoo was obviously very good with Frankie on board. That was the day after all the Frankie dramatics happened. Frankie went for one ride and won aboard this horse for Rafe Beckett, but yeah, Mayland C 5-1. I think this horse should be a lot shorter than that. I make it more of a maybe 5-2, 2-1 shot in here. Should potentially be the favourite, and Mayland C will be my selection. Jack, who for yourself?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. It's not usually a race that I'd like to get my teeth stuck into. It won't be this year as well. It's usually quite scrappy, I think. But I think one thing that is for certain is the Queen Mary was a lot stronger than the Albany this year, and of course Dramatised winning and Mayland C being in second. I think that was miles better than the Meditate Morge form line. Yeah. And I find it very intriguing how Morge is 8 points shorter than Queen Ollie, who was of course only beaten a length by Morge that day, and it looked like Queen Ollie was going to come with a winning run before she hung left that day. So I mean, at 12-1, I think she's an alright each way price. Morge I can't have whatsoever. I mean, neither can either Rafe Beckett filly whatsoever. And I think you've hit the nail on the head with Mayland C. I mean, she came through with a really nice turn of foot down the centre of the track, slightly drawn away from Dramatised, and came through the pack that day in good style. The only slight worry I'd have is her pedigree suggests that perhaps she's going to be seen to better effect over 5 furlongs. So the step up in trip to 6 she may be able to give a good account, but perhaps she's going to be best at the minimum trip. So it'd be interesting to see how she gets on. I think she's still a good price, as you say, a fair enough price at 5-1. Can't see her going off at 5-1. I think she'll probably go off about 7-2, and then Queen Ollie at an each way price. Hopefully she'll be able to run well as well.
And Queen Ollie's an Ammo racing horse, am I right saying? Ammo racing. A lot of those people out there backing Ammo racing horses blind, and they've had some season Ammo racing. They really have,
and some unlucky.
Yeah, they have. Well. Very unlucky. Let's not get into that debate with regards to the Norfolk. Let's really not. Okay, so you're going to move Queen Ollie each way, but you do like Mayland C, and so do I. I think Mayland C is a really good bet in here. Right, the second and final race on the Friday we're going to be looking at is the Group 1 at Falmouth Stakes. This is over a mile for the fillies and mares. A big Group 1 and plenty of cliff horses in here for me and Jack. Inspiral's your favourite at 2-5. Alcohol Free 12-1. I'm going to have to discuss her at some point. Tenebrism 12-1. Lights On 16-1. 20-1. And Bigger the rest. And I think it's 20-1, maybe 25-1 about your selection. let's not discuss our two that we will give a mention to, because I know it's going to happen. Let's discuss the favourite in here, because Inspiral has been obviously so impressive at Royal Ascot in the Coronation Stakes, and horses in behind are coming out and winning. It looks like this horse potentially could even be shorter in here. You look at the horses she's coming up against. Alcohol Free and Tenebrism are the second favourites at 12-1. And I just think Alcohol Free, we know I was a big fan of this horse last season. It hasn't worked out this season. It really hasn't. I'm not going to be fancying this horse. Even turning up in the Sussex and the ground goes soft, I wouldn't be overly confident she'd go and win it. I'd just been a bit disappointed. I did speak to Oisin with regards to this horse when he was working around Ascot, and he said the horse is potentially becoming a bit more of a sprinter. So I know the horse was in the July Cup and could have gone there. And I think the horse does want soft ground. Interesting to see if she stays in there, because it looks like it's been fairly quick. But yeah, Inspiral, how good could she really be?
Yeah, I mean, she's at the top of the market for every single market she's in for. Look, I mean, she was relatively slowly away at Ascot, but I mean, she travelled an absolute dream as soon as she picked up the bridle, and she picked off each of her rivals in comfortable style. It was a Frankie Dettori masterclass. And I mean, the turn of foot, which she showed as well. I mean, it'd be interesting to see her versus Homeless Songs on good to soft ground. I don't know what your opinions are on there, but I mean, if you look at this, she's got a lovely 3-year-old allowance. The old cliche penalty kick always gets thrown about, but I mean, this is probably the definition of one, and hopefully she goes and does it well.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you mentioned the battle there between Inspiral and Homeless Songs. I actually think that we may see it. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but the race I could see something happening, and the race I can definitely see Homeless Songs potentially ending up in, is the QE2 at the end of the season. I could see that as a potential target with the way the ground usually goes in that race there, and she'd get all the allowances as well. She'd probably hack up if Inspiral didn't turn up in there. Yeah, whether but then could be stepping up to 10 by then, so could go for the Champion Stakes, you just don't know. Whether Inspiral were to take that route, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it would be lovely to see that battle take place. Do you want to discuss, I mean, let's give you 20 seconds to discuss your Cliff horse in this race. Go.
It's Primo Baccio. Look, I'm going to be backing her, probably more sentimentally than anything, but look, of course, she was 5th in the Falmouth last year. That Falmouth was rock solid. She loves wrestling quick ground. She was 3rd last time out behind Saffron Beach. I thought she ran a good race. Hopefully she'll be able to come on for it. She's 25-1 at the moment, and hopefully she'll be able to snap up a place.
Yeah, not bad. Very good. I've actually got a horse who probably would prefer a little bit of rain, but Sabila Spain, the French horse. Now, it was very unfortunate at Royal Ascot. It was. I think we were all a bit devastated, probably for me, as well as Christopher Head, the trainer, who'd come over with this horse. And the horse gets to the stalls and bangs her head in the stalls. And unfortunately, you know, the health and safety and horse welfare is the right thing to do, is to take the horse out of the race. She's going to come back over. This has been the plan all the time since the start of the season. They've always had this race in mind for her. They did want a little bit of rain, but you know, with the race as weak as I say it is without Inspiral, she could pick up a place in here no matter what. It is a really, really weak race in front. I mean, we haven't had the full declarations as yet. This race could still cut up, and we could have, 7 or 8 runners in here. I actually put the horse up at 33-1 on Twitter. Now I think best price 20-1. I'm going to claim the 33-1. I don't care what Jack says, but I need my day in the sun with Sabila Spain. I need my day in the sun with Sabila Spain. But yeah, I'll be backing her each way, and Jack will obviously be backing Primo Baccio each way. It might be a match bet off camera.
It's more like, I think backing Primo Baccio now, it's more like a religion. It's turned into a bit of a cult, really. I mean, the amount of people that give me abuse on Twitter for it is absolutely ludicrous. But when she wins a race, whether it's a Class 4 at Yarmouth or a Group 3, wherever it may be, it's going to be someday. It really will be someday.
Can you just stick to the Bay Bridge propaganda now rather than the Primo Baccio one?
Primo Baccio's giving me more. Primo Baccio's giving me more to cling on to, though. Bay Bridge is just regressing. Right. Primo Baccio isn't. She's hanging on in there.
What did Ed Walker say to you about Primo Baccio?
She'll win a Group 1. She's a Group 1 filly. Just don't shout about it, though.
Oh yeah, has to be mentioned every time she runs that quote, because you love mentioning it, and I just had to lead in for it. Right, there we go. So we both think Inspiral is going to go and easily win this, but there's a couple of each way bets, maybe more sentimental each way bets there for you in the Falmouth Stakes. Let's go on to Saturday then. 2 races we're going to be previewing. We'll preview the first race we're going to be doing, and then we'll move on to the feature of the week. So the first race we'll look at is the July Cup Stakes. This here, not the July Cup Stakes. That's the race we're going to be previewing next. The race we're going to be previewing is the 3:15, which is the Superlative Stakes, which is a race which has had very, very much some quality horses in here down the line. Upcoming 2-year-olds, won by Native Trail last year, and also won by Master of the Seas. Jack put that up on his Twitter saying that Godolphin have a good record. I'm sure he's going to give a big mention for the Godolphin horse in a second. This is a Group 2 over 7 furlongs, and Victory Dance is your 5-2 favourite. Alfred Munnings 11-4. Lion of War, the Mark Johnson horse, 4-1. Naval Power 7-1. Dark 39-1. Isaac Shelby 9-1. 12-1. Bar these. Lion of War horse that I want to quickly mention, a gorgeous son of Roaring Lion. We know how good Roaring Lion was. Obviously, we had the Eclipse only last weekend, a race that Roaring Lion had won previously. Done nothing wrong, Lion of War. Mark Johnson trains, surely, just with regards to this horse, no matter what happens here. I mean, you also want to see a decent performance from this horse, but surely the vintage has got to be on the cards potentially for a horse like this.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah, definitely over this trip. You'd like to see what Lion of War there. Is he quite good enough for this? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we'll see. Alfred Munnings is a horse that I haven't quite warmed to as of yet. Potentially still a horse to keep on the right side of, but for me, not at this moment in time. And Victory Dance. Now, I'm going to give Jack all the credit here for Victory Dance because he texted me only, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, just before this horse actually won, and said there's a horse running later in the week called Victory Dance for Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. I think it's being aimed at the Guineas, 50-1. I went and looked at it and I have had a bet on this horse at 50-1. Now, best price 33-1 for the Guineas and 5-2 for the Superlative Stakes here, Jack. What price could Victory Dance go if winning this?
I think he probably goes 12-16-1. Depends how impressive he goes. But if he wins it, he'll half in price. How impressive is... He could even go to Antipode's favourite, mind you. But he is one of my better bets of the week. Charlie Appleby just really knows how to lay them out for this. He's had 4 of the last 6 winners, including Master of the Season, Native Trail, who of course were both runner-up in the Guineas the year after that. I mean, he looked quite an imposing juvenile. I mean, I wasn't at Newmarket to actually watch him on the July course, but I think he looked quite an imposing juvenile. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Native Trail last year, perhaps. But I mean, they brought Mikel Barcelona, of course, was riding, which is very unusual. I mean, he was shouting screaming from the rooftops afterwards. He was singing his praises. I know he is well regarded at home. Hopefully he'll be able to take a step forward in this. I love the way he ran on well. He galloped to the line. I think he's going to get further than a mile in time, definitely. So I mean, it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in this, and I really do hope he gets a bit of Alfred Munnings. I really can't have Alfred Munnings. I think he's there for pedigree more than anything, and I think 5-2 about Victory Dance is a cracking price.
Okay, I agree with there with regards to Alfred Munnings. Like I say, could still turn out to be a decent horse, but just not for me at this moment in time. Victory Dance was an interesting one. I mean, you mentioned Barcelona came over for this ride, and I think that was more the fact this was run. I think the race was run on the Saturday of Royal Ascot. I might be right in saying. Yeah. So obviously, Buick and Doyle are going to be elsewhere. Came over, and the horse took a little bit of time though. There's no doubt about it. Although the Judgment filly, the Judgment colt who came second in that race in the photo, could actually be quite a smart horse as well. That's it. I think that potentially Victory Dance, it took a little bit of time to warm to it. Do you think it was a matter of just learning the ropes as such in that race there and just kind of getting the hang of things very late on?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. He almost looked a little bit green. He was very novice-y, but I mean the last 100 yards he really you saw his lengthy stride and he lengthened out in really good style. I think he's going to be a classy individual. Hopefully he's good enough to win this.
Okay, there we go. So Victory Dance, I think, probably going to be my selection here. I'd like to see Lion of War run really well in here because I would love to see that horse go to the vintage, and potentially you'll see me putting that horse up on our Goodwood preview for a vintage. Because Mark Johnson, we know, I've mentioned it before, but he loves Goodwood. Let's go on to the feature, the big one now. God, I got way too ahead of myself earlier. It's the July Cup Stakes, a 6 furlong sprint for the 3-year-olds and upwards. This is at 4.25 on Saturday. Perfect Power is your best price 9-4 favourite. Artorias, the Australian runner, is 4-1. Creative Force 6-1. Naval Crown is 6-1. Flaming Rib 10-1 and 16-1. And Bigger the rest. Well, look, Christophe Soumillon's probably, if Perfect Power runs, going to come over and ride this. Could he ride 2 big Group 1 Saturdays in a row and win both of them?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's so classy. He gets the 3-year-old allowance. They've all got to give him £6 who are over 3-year-olds. Look at Artorias. Yes, was quite unlucky in the Platinum Jubilee. You got Creative Force and Naval Crown. Of the 3, I think Naval Crown will be able to assert his authority over those 3. Cadamosto ran an almighty race as well in the Commonwealth Cup, which I was really intrigued to see. But I mean, Perfect Power over that far side looked like the race was gone. But I mean, you saw that turn of foot. You weren't too sure whether he kept that turn of foot, of course, as he was trained over 7 furlongs. in a mile. But look, he's clearly a top class sprinter. I think he's going to take this, and I think we may almost have the division at his mercy after it.
Okay, yeah. Perfect Power, in my opinion, probably the best sprinter in training in the UK at the moment. Obviously, Nature Strip worldwide you've got. But Perfect Power, I'm so impressed by this horse and the speed this horse shows. And also the staying power over the sprinting trips. We don't often talk about it, but, if it does turn out into a quick burn-up, this is well suited to this horse who probably can get 7 and easily win over 7. So really does suit. Artorias is really interesting. Now, I went to Ireland only, a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually out there in the hotel with a few Australian people who come over for the Irish Derby. And I asked them a few questions with regards to Artorias. So I fancied this horse at Royal Ascot. I like the fact Jamie Spencer was booked and the way this horse comes from the back and goes to try and win his race. But they did mention with regards to Artorias, that is just his way of doing things. It just never quite works out. It just comes up a little bit too short.
Do you not think we're gonna see the exact same thing again in the July Cup? He's going to be flying home from the back. He may not get the clearest run, and he'll finish 3rd or 4th.
Well, exactly that. I mean, I can't see him win the race. I think 4-1 is probably far too short. I mean, to be fair, if he goes 5-1, you're probably looking at maybe even an each way bet to nothing in here. But the horse will be flying home. But the Aussies just told me, they said just leaves it too late too often, and I think it's just the horse's way of doing things. I don't think the jockey can really do too much about it. I think the horse
you didn't do the accent. You didn't do the accent.
I can't do the accent. Oh, it's awful. No, that's actually insulting. I'm never doing
apologies
that
to any Aussies who are
any Australian viewers. I think like 2% of our audience are Australian, so sorry to that 2% that we have. I hope I haven't offended you, but let us know down in the comments if you are Australian that has offended you. I don't know what I'll send. I'll send like a pint of lager out to you or something like that. So you're going to be with Perfect Power and Naval Crown, which is an each way bet?
Just Perfect Power. I'll keep it simple. Just Perfect Power.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be the same. I think Perfect Power is going to go and win this, and Christoph Simeon is going to give it large when he crosses the line. Hopefully this time with no accidents after the line. Obviously got a 12-day ban for what happened in the coral eclipse, but yeah, hopefully, I mean, to be fair, the Newmarket finish is straight, so you'd like to think that he can celebrate and not interfere with other horses as long as he's not stuck on the rail. But yeah, Perfect Power, very exciting horse. Hopefully the horse gets declared for the race, and we get to see him show what he can do and how exciting he can be. There we go. Time for Naps and Next Best then. Actually no, should we do other bets elsewhere first? Let's do that, because I don't know if you've got any bets elsewhere other than your nap or next best. Have you got anything else on the 3 days, or are you all good?
I'm really looking forward to the City Walls at York. If Winter Power goes, she's 2-1. I think she'll win. I think 2-1 was a great price. There's no way she doesn't go off anything but odds on if she is declared there. And also Corker is down to run in the same race, and of course he got so unlucky. I think it was the Palace of Hollywood House Stakes at Royal Ascot when he lost about 20 lengths at the start and somehow finished 11th. So he'll be taking his olders. He'll have a three-year-old allowance. So if Winter Power doesn't go, really looking forward to seeing Corker, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they both get on.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking forward. Obviously, we have the Summer Mile from Ascot Saturday. I'm looking forward to seeing Perotto 11-1 at the moment for the Summer Mile. It's a very weak Group 2. I was telling Jack earlier, it often is quite a weak Group 2, that race. You sometimes get something come out of it and end up, a huge price in the Sussex, but it really isn't the best race in the world. But yeah, Perotto potentially an each way bet for me in that 11-1. And the other one that I would take note of is in the Bunbury Cup on Saturday, and a horse who probably, I don't know, the price probably reflects a chance, but he's 50-1 called I'm a Gambler in the Bunbury Cup. And the reason I mention this horse is because he has an entry in the Golden Mile Handicap. I don't know how many times I can mention it. It could be a drinking game on this channel, but Austrian Theory is the other Mark Johnson entry, and it doesn't sound like, listening to the owners, that Austrian Theory is going to go for the Golden Mile, which would make I'm a Gambler potentially Mark Johnson's sole runner in the Golden Mile, and he does have an extremely good record in that race. He really does. So I would take note of I'm a Gambler. I don't know whether he's good enough to win this or a Golden Mile, but yeah, just 50-1. I don't know. Look, he hasn't got the worst record in the Bunbury Cup either, so we'll have to wait and see. But 50-1, I'm a Gambler. I'll just leave that there, and I'll either look a mug or it will look quite smart when he wins by 5 lengths at the weekend. But we will wait and see. Right, Naps and Next Best then. Do both for me, Jack. Go on. Who's your Nap and Next Best?
My next best is going to be Walk of Stars in the Bahrain Trophy. Not a luxurious price. He's 5-2, but I just think the race is going to pan out beautifully for him. So I think he's going to win. And the nap is going to come on Friday in the 150, the Bet365 handicap. It's going to be Ionafis for William Haggis and Tom Marquand at 8-1. Of course, that combination won it last year with Dubai Honour when he finished down the field in the Britannia Stakes at Ascot. And shock horror, Jonafis has done the exact same thing, finishing 8th. We know William Haggis is the absolute king of getting them in, getting group horses into handicaps. This could be another one. He finished 8th, but I mean, I thought he was crying out for a mile and a quarter that day. He's got a big lengthy stride. Hopefully that trip's going to suit, and he's 8-1 at the moment. So Jonafis in the 150 on Friday.
150 on Friday. That's your nap. You're trying to make up for last week there with a decent price.
Tell me about
Right, my next best. It's going to be Perfect Power if running in the July Cup Stakes. Not too original, but yeah, 9-4 currently. And my nap will come on Friday as well in the Duchess of Cambridge Stakes. And I think Mayland C at 5-1 will be my nap of the July Festival and my nap of the weekend. So there we go. That is our preview of the Newmarket July Festival. It's hopefully going to be a fantastic 3 days. It is often one of my favourite 3 days of racing. It's a good atmosphere, and if you've never been to the July course at Newmarket, I much prefer it to the Rolling Mile. It's a really fantastic course. Lovely, well laid out, lovely gardens and forestry around it, and it is a fantastic place to be. So if you are lucky enough to go, do enjoy yourself. We're going to be back, like Jack said at the start of the preview, on Sunday evening for our Goodwood anti-post preview, where we'll look at the 5 feature races across the 5 days of the Qatar Goodwood Festival. Looking forward to that. Let us know down in the comments who the winner of the July Cup Stakes is going to be, and let us know why. We will have a read through and reply to a few comments. As always, do subscribe, like the video, and we will see you again on Sunday for our anti-post Goodwood video. Thanks for watching.